I want to say something that might hit you in a new way. And that is that your coaching certification is likely the least interesting thing that's actually happened to you in your business. And today, in part one of a brand new series, a three-part series I'm calling the Coaching Triad, I want to show you exactly why that is. What's going on, coaches? Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast, and welcome to part one of a brand new series that I have put together for you called the Coaching Triad. You could call it the Coaching Trifecta, whatever your three combination option is that you love the most. I've been having a lot of conversations with coaches. We just wrapped up BDC Live. I've been teaching in some communities, and I'm just hearing this kind of same pattern over and over. And that is that you've got the training, you've got the lived experience, the real ability to get people results. But when you started this whole coaching thing, nobody really ever told you that being a great coach and knowing how to get clients were really two separate skill sets. And so you keep showing up, you post all the time, you hand out business cards, even you go to these networking events, and still you feel like your coaching roster isn't really where you want it to be. And so it's really not about the strategy. It's about these three things that I'm going to be walking you through over the next three episodes in the podcast. In fact, we are kind of dropping some special releases to help bring this whole picture together for you as we open the doors to our first ever spring challenge called the Fill Your Coaching Roster Challenge. I'm going to help you fill your roster in just 3 days. And I'm going to be diving deeper in real time with you live on Zoom, and I would love for you to join us. The challenge kicks off May 12th, goes through the 13th and the 14th. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We start at 10 a.m. my time. This is like such basically, imagine this. Let's just use it. It's a diving board into summer. I don't want the summer to be a lull for you. I know that for many of you, things kind of get different when the kids are home, summer vacations, all the things. I specifically planted this challenge at the peak of summer to help you build momentum. I would love for you to join us. You can head on over to amanda-walker.com/Phil, Phil, Fill, to sign up and save your spot every day live with me in Zoom. And so what I want to talk about today is I think something that might like rustle some feathers, which I'm totally cool with. That's the way I like to roll because I'm not here to just, constantly be fluffy. I'm here to talk about the things that I think are really pertinent for you. And so I want to talk about your coaching certification, or maybe if you haven't got a coaching certification yet, it's some other credentialing. Maybe it's a PhD that I actually have had a lot of conversations with people who feel like they need to go back to grad school in some capacity. But what I want to say is that the coaching certification that you worked so hard for, you committed your resources to, you committed your time to, the one that you put on your website, that you put in your signature, that leads in your Instagram bio, or maybe you mention on every podcast episode you're a guest on. I honestly think it's the least interesting thing about you. And I say that as someone who has lots of certifications. You probably don't even know the certifications I have, but you show up here to listen because you're more interested in the things that I have to say. You're more interested in my backstory. You're more interested in the problems I solve on this podcast. And so I say that as someone who absolutely values the investment and time it takes to pursue them. But I'm also saying it because I watch coaches graduate from these incredible certifications and programs and then immediately do something that I think quietly tanks their business before honestly it even gets started. They put everything they were before that certification in a box and they literally seal it. They put like clear tape. They box it up and they put it on a shelf and they stopped thinking about or utilizing any of the information from the 11 years they spent in corporate, or for me, the 10 years in coaching, or the 20 years as a consultant, 20 years in something, the 10 years you've been having children, all of those things. The reality is that you have come here to this moment surviving something incredible and thriving through it, but they scrub it and you are likely scrubbing it. And now I'm a coach is the only thing that you can look at. And so you give more weight to the academic piece, the certification. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that you're making as a coach. So if you're brand new to the podcast, you know that, or you may not know that my prior years I spent as a high school teacher. I left that when I had kids because I was like, what the heck? Why am I doing this? And then I stumbled into entrepreneurship. And there was a moment in time that I, in fact, was like, man, I need to go back. Actually, I went to grad school. I was like, I'm going to go get my PhD. And as I sat with it before I made like a brash choice, and I was really having deep conversations with Jay, it was like, but is that actually going to take me where I need to go? Or is it that that is just a mask for fear? And in fact, for me, what it turned out to be was discrediting all the works I had put into my life, all the things I'd done, all the lived experience up until that moment. And thanks to Justin, who's always honestly ends up being one of my best coaches, showed me the way. So what I'm about to talk about in today's episode is exactly what we're going to go into kind of inside of day 2 of the challenge. I know it's not starting in order of the challenge, but the reality is I want to crack that door today so that you can come into this challenge with me in real time and we can move all the way through it. So if you want the full framework and the homework that I'm going to be sharing on the challenge, you should definitely go to amanda-walker.com/Phil because you absolutely should be in the room with me because there's so much more that's going to happen. I'm going to be coaching in real time. You're going to have time to ask questions in the chat box. We have a private Facebook community. So there's a lot that goes into this challenge that I don't want you to miss out on. So it's free. Come. Anyway, so here's where this comes from. I am working with a client currently, a brilliant woman. She has an extensive background in the mental health field, about 15 years of clinical experience before she transitioned into coaching. And I know for many of you, you have some sort of expertise like that. When I pulled up her Instagram and her website, I was kind of like, none of it was there. Not exaggerating. It was just gone, like wiped away. I had no visible view of anything that had happened. There was a coaching certification on there. And I asked her, hey, like, how, what's happening here? Why isn't this here? And she gently told me, like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm a coach now. And I was like, but what? Stop. Pump your brakes. To me, that's like drafting an NFL quarterback and saying, but everything I did in high school and college is irrelevant. I'm an NFL quarterback now. No, everything he freaking did got him to there. That's like saying I'm having my 4th child, but the 4th child matters than the other 3. No, no, no. Everything you did to those 3 children has made you the most amazing parent for child number 4. And I had to gently but directly say to her, but do you realize you just like threw that in the trash? You have 15 years of something your ideal client would find deeply, deeply incredible and important, but you chose not to mention it because you're trying to sound like a quote unquote coach. And for you, it may not be a mental health practice. It could be something else. And I'm sure for most of you, you're not coming from a therapy background. But here's the thing I think we don't talk about enough. Your lived experience before your certification is not a footnote. It's the main event, in my opinion. And it's the thing that makes you different than the other 40 coaches that maybe somebody is pursuing. Or let's just say it's between you and somebody else. Like for me, I'm like, I need to know more to this story. And if you and another coach or a few coaches sound interchangeable, it's because they've erased everything that was unique about them and you don't have that. You're allowed, honestly, my opinion, I'd say required to bring it all to the table. And not just your past career, but like the hard stuff you went through too, the thing you survived. I don't know, the thing that totally rebuilt you, the aha moment that happened in your life that brought you into coaching, the business that failed maybe before, but now you're doing it different, like the decade you hated your body. I don't know. There is your proof of who you are. When I was at BDC Live, it was interesting. It's like looking around the room at the diversity of people that exist in the room. And there's a lot of teachers or people that were in education or people that will say to me, I just really value the way you teach, how you break things down into small pieces. The fact that you're a teacher is evident or were a teacher and everything that you do. It also shares a story that I left something that I was really good at and transitioned that skill set into something new, which is why most of you are listeners. You are experts, you're brilliant. Now you're transitioning that expertise into a way to monetize it differently. It's actually key that I share that. And I share that story often because it's so relatable. Nobody here listening to this podcast right now got out of college and said, I'm going to be a coach. Like that's just something brand new. There's very few universities that even offer it. You didn't go to high school thinking, I am going to be a coach. we're still new. We're still babies in this industry for a lot of those same reasons. And so it's entirely important that we bring all of that to the table. And sometimes we just don't know how to do that. Or in our brains, it sounds like it's irrelevant. But this is, in fact, authority. I want you to write that word down. I want you to think about that word because authority is how we put our mark and say, we are good at what we do. I know what I'm talking about. I have past experience. One of my clients has been a lawyer for 20 years in the HR field. If she never talked about it, it greatly diminishes her authority. Even though she's not directly practicing law in some parts of her business, the fact that she brings that experience actually makes her a really, really well equipped coach to handle team and leadership issues because she's seen them in real life over and over and over. And so the thing that most of you are terrified to do is actually the thing that is so important. It's talking about the box that you want to put on the shelf more. It's identifying what did you do before? How did that experience kind of mold and shape what brought you to here? In fact, I love this idea of slaying your dragons. The thing that you did before, there's probably a lot of stuff about that world that pisses you off, that influences how you're going to move forward. Even if it was you losing weight and 70 pounds, there was probably a lot of stuff in that own transformation that pissed you off so much. It's a dragon. I always say, slay your dragons. I need to hear that from you. It differentiates you. And so this is the goal, is to help you step into that more, to help you see it. So we're going to be doing some practices in the challenge to help you identify this and see this differently. But this is what I all point back to, this idea of thought leadership. Man, AI is just so prevalent, but it cannot talk about your beliefs, your authority from before, the stuff you put in a box. And that will be the thing that helps you stand out amongst all the others that are inside of the same coaching niche that exists for you. And so every time you start to dismiss what's happened before, I want you to look back and say, like, but that's my superpower. And how can I lean into that more? Because that's the magnetic piece of who you are. If you're a stay-at-home mom doing something now, it's going to speak to other stay-at-home moms. If you are a doctor and now you've bridged to something else, it's going to speak to other physicians or people that value the authority that a physician might bring. If you were in corporate for 10 years, 20 years, leading a huge team, you're going to attract those things. It is the idea of unconscious rapport. We like what is like us. But if you don't talk about those things, then you don't give yourself an opportunity, which is a free opportunity to attract more of the same. So I just wanted to start off this series by really pointing to something that I think you're giving too much weight to, and that is the academic, the certification piece, and tell you that your lived and learned experience is actually the magic that maybe you haven't been pouring enough gasoline on. And I want to help you do more of that inside the challenge we're hosting starting May 12th through the 14th. So again, come fill your roster in just 3 days. I'm going to show you how exactly what we talked about today is actually a key to opening the door to more clients. We're going to actually work on the language around it. I'm going to give you a homework assignment that's going to help you have a breakthrough as well. So you can head on over to amanda-walker.com/Phil to sign up. And I cannot wait for you to be there. And can you do me a favor? As you listen to this, I know that some of you are like, ooh, I need support around this. I want you to come join us. Share this with another coach or practitioner. And I cannot wait to see you live on the challenge coming up in just a few weeks.